Hi, readers. Whoa! I was a little bit afraid of that. My phone is leaning against some geraniums and basil that are planted together, and let's hope it stays upright. But we get a good chuckle when it falls over. It is beautiful out right now. I am so excited, excuse me, because I'm headed to my garden, and I can't wait to get out there. And before I get out there, I have a book to read to you about a garden, really special garden. And this book is a true story, or based on a true story. And it's called What Grew in Larry's Garden. And I picked this book up today in a school library. And I've already shared this book with a group of students. They enjoyed it. And I hope that you will enjoy it too. Get that great cover page. Okay, what grew in Larry's garden? Maybe I could do a follow-up. What grew in Miss Honey's garden? I could do that. Although nothing's growing right now. I'm going to make a slight adjustment. Come on, geraniums, you can do it. Yes. In a sprawling city, in a leafy neighborhood, on a narrow street, in a cozy house with a tiny yard, lived a girl named Grace. Can you find her? It's a very serene picture. I love the illustrations in this book. Next door, in a yard just as tiny, Gracie's neighbor Larry had a garden. In his garden, Larry grew all sorts of vegetables, but not ordinary ones. There were buttery yellow carrots and purple potatoes, rainbow chard and scarlet runner beans, rosy tomatoes the color of ripe peaches, and black ones with red insides. You won't find these in most grocery stores, declared Larry, admiring a zebra-striped tomato. Grace thought Larry's garden was one of the wonders of the world. I agree, gardens are pretty wonderful. Every spare moment she had, Grace helped Larry in his garden. Together they watered and weeded, planted and pruned, hoed and harvested. And when the bugs burrowed into the carrots and the slugs and the snails chewed on the lettuce, Grace and Larry solved the problem together. We can figure this out, said Larry. I like Larry's optimism. And I'm going to get some tips from this book because I've had slugs and snails in my garden. At the library, Grace learned that lots of bugs don't like the smell of marigolds. Grace and Larry planted marigolds among the carrots, and the bugs disappeared. As for the slugs and snails, they picked them off with their bare fingers. Our hard work will be worth it, said Larry, popping a slug into a bucket. This is important. We're not just growing vegetables. What are we growing? Asked Grace. Wait and see, said Larry. Okay, readers, be thinking, what else could they be growing if it's not just vegetables? Keeping squirrels away from the tomatoes was a bigger problem. We can figure this out, said Larry, scratching his head. They built little cages out of wire. The tomato plants could grow inside the wire, but the squirrels could not get at the fruit. Sometimes fences are handy, said Larry. Sometimes. We're going to see another fence in this story. Whoop, don't skip any pages, honey. When summer ended and autumn came, Grace helped Larry gather and dry seeds to save for next spring. Later that winter, they started growing the tomato seeds in little cups. There were hundreds of them. Larry, a teacher, took the tomato seedlings to school so his students could look after them. What will they do with all these plants? Grace wanted to know. That's the best part, replied Larry. They're not just tomato plants. What are they? Asked Grace. Wait and see, said Larry. Oh, Larry, you've got some good ideas. Winter melted away and spring sprouted. One warm afternoon, Grace found Larry on his porch with a pile of papers in his lap. You wanted to know what my students would do with our plants, he said. Listen to these letters. I'm going to read the letters to you. Dear friend, I'm the kid who used to steal pears from your trees. I am giving you this tomato plant to say sorry. Sincerely, Matthew. Dear bus driver, I rode on your school bus for years. You were always so friendly to all the kids. I am giving you this tomato plant to say thank you. From Adria. Dear Mrs. Bianchi, I live next door to you, but we hardly ever talk. You have the most amazing flower garden. It makes me happy just to see it. I'm giving you this tomato plant to tell you that you make the world more beautiful for a lot of people. Best wishes, Emrit. Here are the people who got the letters. My students will give the plants away, and they wrote these letters to tell why, explained Larry. Every plant is a gift, a little green tendril reaching out to someone, connecting people. Now I see, cried Grace. We are growing a whole lot more than tomatoes. Exactly, said Larry. What a great idea to give a gift of a plant to somebody. This page is a little sad. But a shadow fell. One afternoon, Grace went outside and found Larry sitting among his tomatoes. The plants looked wilted. Larry looked wilted. And then Grace saw why. The neighbor on the other side had added a big panel to the top of his fence, blocking out the sun on Larry's garden. So much for my tomatoes, Larry said sadly. Tomatoes like lots of sun. So this is another problem. There's a little honeybee right there. Hello, little bee. The looming fence made the garden seem smaller than ever, just a tiny patch of earth. Grace looked at the drooping tomato plants and thought of how they spread kindness. She gave Larry a hug and said, "We'll figure this out." I like that he helped her to figure things out, and now it's reverse. Here's Larry. He's going to talk to the neighbor. Larry went next door to speak with his neighbor, but they could not agree. That happens sometimes. He says the fence makes him feel safe, said Larry with a sigh. I guess that makes sense, said Grace, slowly thinking about the handy fence that protected the tomato plants from hungry squirrels. But I have another idea. What's that? Wondered Larry. Wait and see, said Grace. Ooh, do you have any ideas of how they're going to solve this problem? That's a good idea. The next morning, when Larry's neighbor stepped outside to get the newspaper, people still do that-ish, there on the porch was a small pot, a packet of seeds, and a note. The note says, Dear neighbor, I live 2 doors down from you, and I like to help Larry in his garden. I'm giving you these seeds to say I hope we can be friends. I think having good friends is the best way to feel safe. Sincerely, Grace. P.S. I have a plan. Could you meet me outside on Saturday morning? I love this line. I think having good friends is the best way to feel safe. Do you have good friends that help you feel safe? I definitely do. That weekend, Larry heard hammering. When he went outside, he found Grace in the yard next door, working side by side with his neighbor. The high panel on the fence was gone. So was the shadow. Now they were pounding nails into the fence and tying strings to make a kind of ladder. Larry, cried Grace, come and see. Larry peered over the fence and saw the seed packets. We're planting beans, replied Grace. They're going to climb up the fence. Larry's neighbor looked up from the string that he was knotting. I figured we could put this fence to better use, he said. What a great way to solve that problem. The sunshine will still be able to get through. They'll have some beans. They'll have a little bit more privacy. And now they have new friends. That afternoon, Larry and Grace and their neighbor sat down together and feasted on fresh lemonade and cherry tomatoes from Larry's garden. They were still warm from the sun. That's the end of the story. There is an author's note back here, and I won't read the whole thing, but it explains how this is a true story or based on a true story. And one of the things that I really like is the ending part. And it says, growing anything takes patience. If you give plants what they need, water, sunshine, gentleness, room to grow, they will thrive. Possibility hides in every seed. Each year, Larry's students continue to find possibility in seeds and in themselves, growing their community one plant at a time. Is that a great book? I love it. It totally makes me want to start this as a project with my students or with my family or even just with myself and my community. And I wonder if maybe you could grow something to share with somebody else. Thank you for coming and listening to What Grew in Larry's Garden. I really enjoyed it. I kind of want to do a little author peek while I'm here to see if this author has other books. It doesn't say that she does yet, but it does say that she does her best to grow kindness. Connection. Thank you for coming or being here or listening to this book. Enjoy the beautiful day and come back for another story real soon. Bye, readers.